It's Platt, and today we try a Belgian classic. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So the particular beer we have today is Chimay White, also known as Cinq. It is a Belgian Tripel from the fine folks from Chimay. A little background on Chimay. The story starts in 1850 with Father Jean-Baptiste Jourdain and a group of monks who were commissioned to start a monastery in the Chimay region, and they founded the Scarmont Monastery. After getting it open, one of the first things they decided was, well, how can we service the community? And one of their ideas was to brew beer, and in 1862 they started brewing beer at the monastery under monastic traditions. Now it seems today counterintuitive for a church or a monastery to brew beer, but probably from that point in the mid 1800s, probably back 300, 400, 500 years, it had pretty much been a tradition that a lot of the beer brewing in Europe occurred through the monks in the different monasteries, so it was part of tradition at that time. Move ahead to 1876, and the monks decided they needed something else to do and started getting into the cheese business. They started producing soft cheese. Today, cheese making is still a part of the monastery, so kind of a cool story there. Move ahead to 1948, and Father Theodore isolated a strain of yeast that became Chimay's proprietary yeast and still gets used today. Now, again, that's another thing that seems counterintuitive. You would think, well, monks probably use old traditions, they don't keep up with the science, but that is not true. The monks of Europe have been actually at several periods of time on the forefront of brewing science, and the monks today that do the brewing still keep up with the latest science. So kind of a cool story there. 1966, they first start producing Chimay White, this beer. The history of the monastery shows they don't just add beers all the time. It's not like a modern craft brewery that always has something new going. They're very slow to add another product, so it was kind of a big deal at the time. In 1989, they start getting into the hard cheese business, and they produced their first hard cheese using something they term full cream milk. I don't know a ton about cheese productions. I do like cheese, though. But apparently that was a big deal. And again, today they sell, I think, about 4 or 5 variety of cheeses along with the various beers. One of the cool things they do at the monastery is they take the spent grains from the brewery and use it to feed the dairy cattle. So kind of a little bit of synergy, a little bit of efficiency, kind of a cool story. Today, Chimay is one of 11 Trappist breweries worldwide. At one time it was 13, but apparently we were running out of monks, and if you want to be a Trappist brewery, you have to have monks. So the beer is brewed on monastery property, but is bottled about 12 kilometers away. However, the revenue generated from this helps support the monastery. The brewery pays rent, they sell the cheeses, and I believe additional income also goes to various monastic charities. So if you drink Chimay, you're probably doing it for the children. They didn't like that. Real quick, let's dive into some of their beers. First is the classic Chimay Red, 7% ABV. This was their first beer. You can say it's their flagship beer. It is a Belgian-style double. Next is Chimay Blue, 9% ABV. This is a strong, dark ale. This beer was originally brewed, or a variation was originally brewed in the mid-50s for what they called a Noel beer, but the recipe got tweaked, and now this is a year-round offering. Next, we have Chimay Gold, 4.8% ABV. This is what's known as a Patters beer. The best way to think of it is lawnmower beer for monks. If you've had Trappist beers before, you know they're higher ABV, bigger beers. At 4.8, this is probably closest thing to a session-style beer they're going to produce. Lastly is Chimay Green, 10% ABV. This is a strong Belgian golden ale. I love these style of beers, but you can only have a couple. They'll sneak up on you. This was originally brewed for the brewery's 150th anniversary, but now it is a year-round selection. Well, before we try this particular beer, though, let's check out the stats. All right, let's go ahead and crack this sucker open. All right, right, nice thick head, dark golden color. Plenty of bubbles. Oh yeah, that's a lot of malty goodness in there. While we let this open up, time for questions for Platt. If you have a question you'd like me to answer in a video, please send it to plattsboozblog@gmail.com. In the subject line, put questions for Platt. Today's question comes from Joe, and he asked a question in reference to a winemaking video about leaving something to ferment too long. Is there a downside to that? And more, I think he's more referring to the yeast. In that particular video, I suggested something to ferment between 7 to 10 days. And he's wanting to know, well, if it goes 12 or 14, am I in trouble? You should be fine on that. What happens, though, after a while, if you let something sit on the dead yeast in the fermenter too long, you get something called autolysis. And that's where those dead yeast stills start to break down. And they start to add funky, kind of off flavors to your brew. If you've seen any of my 1 gallon homebrewing videos, you notice that I do 2 weeks in the primary fermenter, rack it off the dead yeast there, and put into a secondary fermenter. You're probably safe up to about a month. After a month, again, those yeast cells start to break down and you start getting off flavor. So that's why a lot of times I recommend going into a secondary fermenter to get away from those dead yeast cells. So Joe, hopefully that helped answer your questions. All right, let's now jump into this bad boy. Oh my gosh. For disclosure, I do like, I've said I've always liked German beers, but I also like these big Belgian beers. Man, there's just some body and oomph. And the Belgians love their really funky yeast strains that add some really unique flavors. So it's not just they add a little extra malt to get a bigger body beer to it. There are some flavors in it that, really stick it out compared to a generic kind of golden ale or blonde ale, what have you. There is real no hop aroma or flavor on this particular beer, and even though it's bigger bodied and it does contain kind of sweetness, it's not cloying, it's not viscous in any way. You definitely get a little warming, down the pipe. You notice this is a beer, but oh yeah, that is good. That is a beer that when you start to drink, you're like, all right, I'm going to enjoy this beer. This is not something I'm going to slam down. This is one you're going to enjoy. I can imagine being in Europe somewhere in a wooden, bench or like those big tables you see at the German beer gardens. I can just imagine being outside. It's 68, sunny, just knocking these back. Yeah, I love those little funky notes that are kind of hard to, some people say banana or clove. It's just the unique funky flavors you get from Belgian beers are really cool. I love just the Chimay line in general. This is a nice little banger. 8%, you're gonna notice it, but the monks know what they're doing. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.